First it was trade, then tech, then came the Indo-Pacific standoff and cyber snooping. The US-China-Russia rivalry that has been evolving from a contest of influence to a global turf war is now going beyond our planet. Our next story takes a look at how China and Russia may build a nuclear plant on the moon to power a lunar station. Take a look.
Three superpowers. One desolate lunar surface, a new frontier where old rivalries sharpen into something unprecedented. The world's most powerful nations are no longer content to spar over trade, technology, or military might on Earth. They are now racing to plant their flags and their nuclear reactors on the moon. For years, the US, China, and Russia have jostled for supremacy in every conceivable arena. From tit-for-tat tariffs and technology bans to military drills and proxy wars, the struggle for dominance is relentless. Now, the battleground is shifting skyward. The moon, once a symbol of human unity and wonder, has morphed into the next chessboard for global power politics. China and Russia's audacious plan to build a nuclear power plant on the lunar surface. This is not some far-off projection. Official presentations now openly discuss timelines, reactor designs, and the logistics of constructing an international lunar research station powered by nuclear energy. China's Chang'e 8 mission, slated for 2028, will lay the groundwork for building a permanent manned lunar base. What makes it even more interesting is the collaboration between Moscow and Beijing. Russia's space agency Roscosmos said last year that it planned to build a nuclear reactor on the moon's surface in partnership with the Chinese space agency.
3, 2, 1, boosters in, and liftoff of Artemis 1.
The implications are seismic. The U.S., with its Artemis program aiming to return astronauts to the moon by December 2025, now faces a direct challenge, not just in exploration, but in the militarization and control of resources in space. The prospect of a Chinese-Russian nuclear-powered base, inaccessible to NASA and its allies, signals a new era of exclusion and escalation. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
On to the U.S. now, as U.S. President Donald Trump nears the 100-day mark of his second term in the White House. A Fox News survey finds voters harboring mixed views, while a majority of them seem to be pleased with Trump's treatment of border security issue. They're unhappy over inflation and rising costs. But broadly, what are the hits and what are the misses? Let's break it down for you. As per the poll conducted by Fox News, 55% of voters approve Trump's border security measures. The only area where the approval ratings are in the positive. And that's on the issues of immigration. A record high of 47% approve of Trump, while 48% disapprove of him. The economy fared poorly, where only 38% of people have given their approval to Trump, while 56% have disapproved of him. Worst hit is the area of inflation, with 33% approving Trump as against 59% disapproving him. And this is closely followed by tariffs, foreign policy, taxes and guns. These are still individual areas where the voters weighed in. Overall, approval of Trump's job performance comes in at 44%, dipping a solid 5 points from 49% in March. This, by the way, is lower than the approval of former presidents such as Joe Biden, Barack Obama and George W. Bush. That's when they completed 100 days in their tenure. This is also lower than the ratings received by Trump himself during his first term. What explains this? Since Trump's inauguration in January, Democrats, Republicans and independents have been toggling between dissatisfaction and satisfaction, with the independents steadily reporting a dissatisfied stance. And simply going by the ratings, the people of America are worried about the economy and the impact of it that it would have on the families, with the majority seemingly aligned on the fact that Trump's policies may be hurting the economy than helping it in the first place. Nearly 72% of voters believe that tariffs will drive up product costs, while a record 55% think that they will hurt jobs and economy. Voters fear that these would have a long-term impact, as many of whom seem to be less optimistic about the future than they were at the beginning of Trump's first term. The other areas where voters remain divided are political divisions, healthcare, government spending and a recession. Also among the areas of voting are issues like global conflicts and wars, like Iran getting a nuclear bomb or Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with 2/3 or fewer voters worried about them. Almost the same number of voters also worry that a trade war with China could escalate into military confrontation. Mixed views have also trickled in on the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOG's, efforts to reform the federal government. Almost 49% of voters say it's likely for DOG to make government more efficient, while 43% expect it to lower their taxes. Almost 52% are of the opinion that the Trump administration is incompetent in managing the federal government, a figure that has gone unchanged since 2017. All said and done, Trump's second term looks bigger and bolder in terms of both scale and impact. Question is, going forward, will he be able to improve his report card? The coming days will tell you more. Who betrayed Crimea? That's our next story. The Ukraine peace efforts have just hit another landmine, not in Donetsk or Crimea, but in Washington, D.C. U.S. President Donald Trump has blamed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for the failure to end the war. He has accused him of refusing a deal that would let Russia keep Crimea. The Ukrainian peninsula region was annexed by Russia in 2014, but Zelensky has refused to recognize Russia's control over Crimea. Russia has time and again said Crimea, where its Black Sea Fleet is based, is formally part of Russia. It has said the question of Ukraine reclaiming Crimea is closed for talks forever, and that is the stumbling block now in the peace efforts. So who is betraying who? Let's understand. On Wednesday, the U.S. president made a big claim. He said a peace deal with Russia was very close. But he also blamed Zelensky, saying he was harder to deal with than Putin. And this comes just days after U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance laid out a vision for peace. Washington's latest peace proposal reportedly included not only the de jure recognition of Crimea's annexation in 2014, but also the de facto acceptance of Russian occupation of parts of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson in 2022. Zelensky's response: Thank you, but no. He says Ukraine will act according to its constitution, and America, he hopes, will act according to its own values. Zelensky also reposted a 2018 declaration from then Secretary of State Mike Pompeo during the first Trump administration, when he reaffirmed that the U.S. does not recognize Russia's annexation of Crimea. Zelensky was sending the message to the Trump team to remind him of U.S.'s old promise to Ukraine. Zelensky has previously ruled out formally ceding any territory to Russia, as a result of which the current U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio skipped London peace talks with Ukrainian and European officials yesterday. But as far as Zelensky is concerned, Ukraine's red lines are clear. A formal recognition of Russian control of Crimea would mean a dangerous concession to Putin. It would mean an abandonment of Ukrainians still living in the region. It would also dash hopes for reunification of the families that were separated by the 2014 annexation. Remember, the seizure of the Crimean Peninsula in 2014 began when Russian soldiers seized government buildings and military bases. The annexation set in motion a Russian effort to claim territory in eastern Ukraine, using its army as well as proxy forces. It started a conflict that have claimed the lives of about 14,000 soldiers and civilians on both the sides. And all that was before the all-out war began in Ukraine in 2002. Pardon me, in 2022, that's when the war began. That war continues to rage, even as over the past week, the Trump administration has repeatedly threatened to walk away from the peace process. As the blame game plays out, Russia has continued its assault. On Thursday, Russia launched its deadliest attack on Ukraine's capital of Kyiv. Since last summer, a deadly missile strike in Kyiv, killing at least 9 and injuring over 60. And then across Donetsk, Russia claimed to have taken a new territory. As far as the U.S. is concerned, Trump says ending the war means getting a deal with Zelensky. But for Ukraine, a deal that allows Russia's invasion, legitimizes Russia's invasion, is no peace at all.